Yo, what's up, everybody? Have had a good holiday? Well, I'm gonna go through. One of my friends brought up a question asking me what's my top 10 favorite games, so I'm gonna go through that right now. And keep in mind, there's no particular order, it's just me going through the list. So I'm gonna start off with Lords of Shadow. Now, I really loved Lords of Shadow, it was a great game. For the series because I never really cared for Castlevania as much. I always thought it was just kind of a weird game, but then again, the only Castlevanias I've seen were the ones on the PS2, and those weren't that great to me. I didn't really get into it as much. And then I'll look at the 2D Castlevanias, the old school, and those are pretty good. Um, but I still couldn't get into them as much. The only one I got into is Dracula Chronicles, but that's just an okay Castlevania game. But this one, I got into it because Kojima was behind it, so I was like, oh, I'm interested in that. And the story and the trailer I saw was really interesting. I mean, it did look like a God of War ripoff, but there was so much in it that it wasn't. Like, you could upgrade your character, you could upgrade your skills, you could upgrade your evil meter, your heaven meter. It has so much customization to it, which was to me more reason to play the game. And the DLC campaigns that they had for it were just as good because it explains a lot about the ending and all that. I mean, I could go into it, but it will go on the border of spoilers, so I'm gonna not do that. Uh, but I mean, overall, I mean, this is great for non Castlevania fans because to me this had a really dark story and I mean, I was kind of anticipating that from the beginning, but I mean, it's just overall, it was delivered well and brilliantly. It was just such a great story because you kind of wanted to see where this game was going. Because I mean, it was leading on this one track, which you're just like, I think I know where this is going, and then by the end, you're just like, whoa, that came out of nowhere, and I always argue with some people with this, but I thought the ending was brilliant in the game. I really loved the ending because it showed so much about the character and who you were playing as, and it was much more about who you were playing and what was going on, and it was just much more interesting to think about because and to me that's what a game should do is that it makes you think because by the end when you're done with Castlevania, I mean not like it's a philosophical game and you're gonna be like pondering philosophical thoughts, but you would sit there and be like, oh, I wonder why this happened, and you start thinking about the character, and I mean not in an obsessive way, but you think of the character as this like you try to understand the character better, and that to me is where the game gets good. When a game makes you think about the character and try to understand it, not in a way that's like, oh, it's confusing, but in a way that's like just thinking about it. I'm trying not to spoil it, but that's how I feel about that Castlevania game, and to me, it's just a fun game to play. Now, this one, No More Heroes. This one I bought on a whim. I remember E3 2006 or 2005. I was watching the Nintendo press conference, and they were showing a trailer for No More Heroes, and at the time I didn't quite grasp what it is because I either didn't see the full trailer or I don't know, but I just sat there. I was like, are we killing heroes or what? I mean, I was just trying to understand the title, I guess. And I ignored the trailer. I was just trying to understand the title, and I said I was like, you know what, this game looks pretty interesting. I think I'm gonna buy it. And when it came out, I bought it for my birth. I got it for my birthday, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna play this. And man, I really appreciated the game, and I think it was just one of the best Wii titles you could ever buy. I mean, the overworld. I mean, there's some flaws here and there with the overworld. You have to make money to get to the next mission, but overall, the story I think was is the funniest story I've ever seen because it starts off with such a serious, funny yet serious kind of story. Is just like, okay, you're this kid, you're gonna you want to become the top assassin, and that's all you knew, and that's all you cared about. You're like, okay, that I can dig that. Okay, let's do that. And then by the end of the game, the story goes in this weird direction that you don't see coming, and it starts breaking the fourth wall, and it literally came out of nowhere. And to me, that was great, and because it made a lot of jokes that gamers would get and all that. It was just so much. It was such a fun game to play, and the bosses were very unique. There was a few that were terrible, but I mean, it was such a great game, and to me, I mean, I would have really put No More Heroes 2 in this pile, but that game was just disappointing. It just didn't live up to one. All two did was have a better game, had better gameplay. And that's all it had. The story was just kind of dumb. The final boss was worse. I mean, the final boss in No More Heroes 1 was hard. It took me like days to get to beat it, and that's great. I love that kind of challenge. So I mean, that's No More Heroes for you. Great game. Next one is another Wii title, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Now, a lot of people hate the Galaxy series, and especially 2 in particular, because they're saying, oh, it's just them making money off the first one or whatever. Well, 2 had a lot of new levels and levels that were left over from the first Galaxies that they decided to make a full game. I mean, they had enough to make it a full game. And, but, and to me, I think this is the first Mario game that I actually really appreciated because it had replay value to the point where, like, once you get all the stars, it's like, hey, you know what? There's these green stars. Yeah, you need to you should collect them. And it's like, okay, I'll collect the green stars. And before you know, you're just like, okay, where am I supposed to go? And you're supposed to find these green stars. They're hidden, and that to me is brilliant. Is this that you have to let it makes it more challenging and more fun and interesting to play. And to me, that's what a Mario game should be. It's challenging, and you always keep playing it. So that, I mean, the uh, the time you spend in Galaxy 2 is a lot for a Mario game, and that's really what I like. Because one, I thought it was just too easy to get all the stars. Two, actually, is more of a challenge to get all the stars. It's actually more to it than just get all the stars. So, and the one thing that I think Galaxy 2 does great is it's almost like a love note to Mario fans because they they have the mansions, the mansion galaxies pretty much was just the mansion level, and they remix the mansion music that you'd hear in the old Mario games. Uh, they also brought back the original Bowser music from Mario 64. They remixed that a little bit, made it more up to date, and it sounds brilliant. And they even brought back a level from Mario 64, which to me was the biggest, like, hey, remember Mario 64? Here you go. And it was so nostalgic, and it was awesome, and that's really why I liked Galaxy 2, is that it was almost as if Nintendo's like, hey, Mario fans, here you go. And that's why this is the best Mario game on this planet. Okay, next is 360 game, Gears of War 3, Gears of War Triple. I played all the Gears and the Ram Shadow DLC, and out of all three of them, 3 is the best. And if I were to rank them, it would be 3, 1, and 2. 2 wasn't necessarily a bad game. It's just the story. I didn't like it. It was just kind of, oh well, the locusts are still here. Kill them, and dramatic stuff happens on your trip, and this is like what? And here's a spoiler. Tai commits suicide, and that to me is we don't really know much about Tai or where came from or what's his relationship with Marcus and everyone else. He just he just showed up at the beginning of the game, then he committed suicide, and I sat there and was like, okay. Why should I feel sad about this guy? I don't know him. I mean, at that point, I should feel sorry for Carmine for getting his head blown off in Gears of War 1. I mean, this guy just comes out of nowhere, and the game is just like, oh yeah, very dramatic, he killed himself. It's like, I don't know this guy. And 3, to me, was just a much better game, because to me it shows that everyone is messed up almost, and it kind of shows that there's a lot at stake at what was going on, and that to me, Gears of War 3 did great. Was that 1 and 2? I never felt the sense of the world being endangered and these people were on their last legs or whatever. It was just like, okay, well, we're just gonna kill these guys and then everyone will be happy. But when you get to Gears of War 3, you start to seeing the true like scale of what's going on with this war and what like how much destruction happened. I mean, 1 and 2 kind of give you a glimpse of it, like kind of like a teaser of it, but 3 it went all out. It was just like it was as if the game was just like, hey, you think that this is pretty? You think that this? Well, look at this, and it tugs on your heartstrings. It doesn't. It never lets up, and it's just like, and that's what I really liked about 3 was that it had a great telling of the story, and it really made me feel something for these characters, and it wasn't just like her. Oh, Mark is killing things, and there's a lot of stuff that happens even within the story that I thought were beautiful and just because Gears of War 1 and 2 kind of had shallow stories that you could even say that they're generic, but 3 technically is still generic, but it does it in a way that's more riveting and more just like tense and emotional, and it does it in a way that's much more entertaining and interesting. It's almost like watching a movie, and that's really what to me I like that. I love that about Gears of War 3. Now, I'm going to talk about MGS3 and Peace Walker. These two, well, this is by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, think it 5, 6, whatever. MGS3 to me was the best Metal Gear game they've ever made, and they have not topped it at all. I mean, Peace Walker was pretty close. It was like really, really close, but MGS3 to me was the best one because it I mean, a lot of people didn't like the story and I think that's just because they focus on the Volgin story, and I agree with you there. It was such a hokey kind of lame story, and Volgin was just a lame. He was the clown in the game, pretty much. He was just everyone's like tool because no one in his unit was working for him. I mean, the boss was doing her own thing. Eva was a spy from China. Ocelot was a spy from America, and then Big Boss was there, and none of them were working for him, which I thought was funny, because it made that character less serious and more of just a tool and a clown, and that's why I think that and to me, if they just fixed Volgan's story a little bit, they probably could have had a better game and a better story from that, but you can't really do anything after you have Volgan in it. But 3 to me had the best. I mean, if you looked at story though, if you looked at the story between the boss and Naked Snake, oh, it's so deep and interesting. I mean, and not interesting as in like, oh, well, it's just their relationship I have not seen in any other game, and I'm sure you could prove me wrong on that. But to me, from the games I have played, I have not seen any relationship that even touches it, because they're neither like they're not like a loving relationship like girlfriend and boyfriend. They're not in that relationship, but they're not mother and son. I mean, it was just they have this unique relationship going that no one could really fathom or comprehend, and to me that to me is great because you can still play them just 3 and still try to understand their relationship, and to me it's just like, and then you have to fight that. I mean, she's the final boss. Everything is accumulating to her, and to me that's almost of a test on yourself because it's just like, well, you've gone through the entire game this far. Can you beat her? And it's just like that to me is just such a very interesting way of finishing off a game, because when I beat it, I was pretty sad at the end. Not like crying, like this sad, because I mean, just imagine you're on a mission. One of your like close friends, your mentor, who you lived and died with, and I mean, she's been there all your life, and then she betrays you, and you have to kill her. And that's not an easy thing to do. And to me, and Nick Sick brought himself to do that, which is kind of you. I mean, you're kind of putting him through this, and you really have to stop to think, what am I doing? And it's just, oh, it's brilliant. And now I'm going to talk about Peace Walker. Peace Walker, to me, is the best Metal Gear game right after 3, because it combines the atmosphere and storytelling of 3 with some of the story of telling of 4 and the gameplay of 4 in terms of controls, because the atmosphere is still of that of MGS3, where you're sneaking through a jungle and all that, and that to me is great. I love that atmosphere. And I mean, it had everything for everyone. It feels like it felt like the most agreeable Metal Gear Solid game because it had so much to offer, it has so much replay value. So I mean, to me, it's the biggest game I've played because once you beat the story completely, there's still stuff to do. Like you still have extra op missions to complete if you choose to. I mean, it's such a rewarding game. It's like, hey, you know what? You should do this. And to me, it's much more fun than it's the best PSP game out there. All right. I'm gonna try to talk about a few more games, and this might end up in a part 2. Uh, Next one is Saints Row the Third. I really didn't expect this to be that great of a game. I mean, I thought I was expecting it to be a good game, but like I wasn't expecting it to be one of my top 10 because I played Saints Row 2 a little bit, never got a chance to beat it because my file got messed up, but I was playing the third Saints Row the Third, and man, this is a fun game, and to me it's like if I had a long day or a hard day and I don't feel like playing Gears or something, I could pop in Saints Row the Third and have a good time because it has so much stuff. Like there's everything for everyone. And that's to me what makes it great. So Saints Row the Third, I do recommend that game. I love that game. Um, Uncharted 2, another game I wasn't expecting to be on my list because Uncharted has always been a series that's just kind of like, this is cool, I appreciate it, but, I mean, if I had it my way, I guess it would be technically Uncharted 1 would be in the list, but 2 is brilliant because the gameplay was much more interesting and the set pieces were way more captivating because I mean the game starts you off in a train that's about to fall off, and that to me is just like a lot to take in, and that's great. And then Uncharted 3, which is just lame, but Uncharted 2 just was great all the way through, and excuse me, the final boss to me was the highlight of the game because it was so hard. Like if you try to stay in one place to recover your health, you die instantly. I mean the game pretty much punishes you for being a bitch, and it's just like, and it pretty much tells you face me or you're just gonna die. So I mean they kept you on your feet, and that's what I like about Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 1. Both those games kept you on your feet. It wasn't like, oh well, you win. It actually put you on the spot and had you think, which was good. I mean, I really like that because it made you feel more into the game. So I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna do a part 2. So see you later.